Hi friends, many of you have questions related to driving in Canada and I'm not an expert. So I had an interaction with Harminder, who is an ex-driving instructor as well as has a very popular YouTube channel where he introduces viewers to safe driving practice. You'll get to see that I have asked him questions which is there in everyone's mind, and with his wealth of information and expertise, he's been able to condense the information in a manner which is easily understandable for us. So do watch this video till the end, and in case you have any questions, do comment and you will get a response. So without wasting much time, let's get into the discussion which I had. Hi Harminder, thanks for joining Canada Tried and Tested. First and foremost, I'm curious to know, how did you end up becoming a driving instructor in Canada?
Thank you, Gopi. Thank you for having me on your channel today. And it was an interesting story. When I landed in Canada, I was looking for jobs, and at the same time I was trying to get my license so that I could get better jobs, because it's a necessity to get a driver's license in Canada. You can get to more places if you have a car, and you can cut down the travel time. So I was taking lessons with my driving instructor. He said, you know, you're a good driver, you can actually become a good driving instructor. And and that's where it began. I said, you know what, that's a good idea. And I asked, is it good income in terms of meeting your living expenses? He said, yeah, it's actually great. That's when I got started.
I'm a big fan of your YouTube channel. I've watched your safe driving lessons, and that actually gives confidence to someone who is coming to Canada that it's not very difficult as long as you're following all the rules and you tune your brain. So one thing what comes to my mind on top is that for someone who is coming to Canada, what would be your suggestion in terms of preparation even before landing in Canada, so that they can get themselves prepared towards getting the license?
Well, the first thing is to do your research as to what is expected here in terms of getting a license, right? And the research involves knowing about the knowledge test, or watching videos like the ones on my channel, or you can watch other channels also. You want to know how driving is different from the way people drive in your country. And then you also want to prepare for the knowledge test, which is the written test, which is a mandatory test. Everyone has to do that. I know I don't have any content on my channel related to that, but very soon I will be putting up a course on my channel related to the knowledge test. So, you know, yes, so your due diligence is very important.
Yeah, in fact, people sometimes when they reach out to me to ask about how I went about doing my knowledge test, I personally feel that it's very easy. You just need to dedicate time. If you have done your driving back home and you're aware of the rules, it's little different, but it's not very difficult to understand. And I just tell people that go for the knowledge test as soon as possible and try as many attempts as possible, say within the same day, and try to pass it first time in the same day. Don't come back and say I'll prepare and I'll go back. So
that's right.
That is something which I tell people.
Gopi, you know what? What's interesting about the knowledge test is that, you know, yes, while most people pass the test in the first attempt, there are many people, you'll be surprised to know that, you know, there are a lot of people who can't pass even after the 5th attempt, or, you know, people have been taking the test for like over 10 attempts. So what happens is they find the rules part difficult, right? And I recently posted something on my channel about Poland, if I'm not wrong. So there's this country where this person failed the road test over 150 times.
Wow.
Sorry, not the road test, but the knowledge test, right? So the knowledge test is very difficult. Only 40 to 50% of the people pass in the first attempt. It's not good to underestimate the preparation. If you go prepared, you can definitely pass in the first attempt. Well, I did, you did, and many people have passed in the first attempt.
That's, you know, something which is very important, I feel. In addition, for someone who already has driving experience back home, if they are able to get the driving extract, that gets counted here in Canada, right? Can you throw some light on that, the good part and the bad part of getting a driving extract?
Well, you know what? There's no bad part about getting the driving extract. It's always good to get your driving extract from the country you're coming from, because what happens is that helps you cut down the wait time. You know, if you have more than 2 to 3 years of experience driving in your country, then you can straight away go for the G test, right? So there are different levels of exams here. So you can straight away go for it for the highest level. after the knowledge test, of course. If you don't do that, if you don't get the extract, let's say you show zero experience, so what you have to do is after the knowledge test, you'll have to wait at least 8 months, if not a year. If you go to a driving school, you attend the driving school, you can reduce it from 1 year to 8 months, but not less than that. And then after that, to get to the G test, you have to wait another year. So if you have the extract, you will not have to wait 1 or 2 years to get to the G level.
Sure. So Harminder, one more thing is that people who come with experience, they still struggle to drive in Canada, especially the confusion of the left drive and the right drive. How one can overcome that? That is something which is very, very immediate thing which comes to people's mind when they land in Canada.
Okay, let me pose this question back to you, Gopi. What do you think? Have you driven in Canada yet? Let me ask you this.
So I have done few practice tests, and for me it was very, very confusing at start, because the rules back home versus here, it's quite different. But once you're on road, start to feel the road, the confidence starts to come. Whatever theoretical thing you do, unless you practice, you don't get to understand how things work here. So that is something which I have learned, but I would like to know from you.
Rules are different in every country. You go from India to Dubai or Pakistan to Dubai, right? The rules are going to be different, right? About the left and right hand side driving, a lot of people think that it's very difficult, but honestly, it took me not more than 5 minutes to get used to the car. Yes, there was some confusion in terms of what side of the road we should be driving, but in terms of the car, getting used to the car, it doesn't take you more than 5 minutes to get used to the car. And then about the rules, as you said, you do need a lot of practice, and do encourage everyone to not try to save money when it comes to practice, because if you try to save money, then you're not going to be able to pass the road test in the first attempt. So yes, it does require practice, but left and right side is easy.
Yeah, I agree to that. Especially, in my case, and this is my opinion also, I'm used to driving in India, and it's a complex way of driving there. There is method to madness, is what I say. And when you come here, suddenly you find everything in order. And unfortunately, person like me, we carry certain bad habits because of the way, we have driven in India. So to come back, unlearn and to learn new things, it sometimes takes time. And I personally feel that sometimes if you don't have any driving skill and you're starting from zero, your adaptability is much better than someone who comes with a lot of driving experience, because that also means having certain bad practices. That's my personal opinion, but I would like you to comment.
Yeah, you absolutely nailed this, Yes, someone who doesn't have any experience driving in India or any other country will be a fast learner here compared to people who have already learned driving or have in their country for a long time. This is the analogy I use with my students. See, you have a swimming pool full of water. So now you need to replace the water. For you to replace a pool that is already filled with water, you'll have to take out the water, and that's going to take a lot of time to take out the water, to empty the pool, then pour the water, instead of putting the water into an empty pool. So which one is going to be faster? Putting the water in an empty pool, right? So the person who hasn't learned any tricks, it's going to be very easy and faster for them as compared to people who already have learned driving there. So yeah, you have to keep that in mind.
You just put, in a very, very simple way, the learning and unlearning part of it. What is the 3 tips if you have to give to anyone who is coming here and wants to go for a driving license?
The number 1 tip is come prepared. Start preparing the moment learn that you have been approved for the visa. You should start your preparation right from that day as to what you should know about driving, because that's the first thing that you're going to need in terms of an identity proof, and number 2 in terms of getting to places if you're thinking of buying a car. Watch a lot of videos, because you want to be first mentally prepared before you sit in the car. Yes, I mean, videos can only do so much. They can't prepare you for the road test, but yes, if you know the rules, if you have an understanding when you sit in the car, that will help you save a lot of cost. And this is how my students who I used to teach, they used to save a lot of cost, right? So I took very few lessons with them, and I got them ready for the road test. And that was my objective. I wanted to do more students versus doing many lessons with one student. So that's number 1. Number 2 would be when you get here, if you know someone who has driving experience or who's driving a car, sit beside them and observe them. Observe them and try to, put two and two together in terms of try to match the knowledge that you've gained through videos or through books to the practicality side of it. I think these two things are very important. If you do this, then you will definitely increase your chances of a road test. Oh, number 3 is a very important thing. I was almost forgetting that. The thing is, a lot of people when they get here, they try to save the money by not taking many lessons, right? They think that they will be ready. They have been driving for 10 years. They would not have any problem. And these are the people who fail in the first attempt, and I was one of them, right? So I tried to cut down on the lessons, and I failed my road test. I learned it the hard way. The repercussions are that you end up going for a G2 test and a G test, and you end up paying more versus trying to save more money.
Sure, I definitely can relate to that. Usually what happens when you're coming as a newcomer, you want to save your home country money as much as possible, and that's the situation with most of the people who land here. I've been here for more than 2 years now, but I can tell you that the best way to do is go for the driving license as soon as possible. It's an investment and you get it back in various ways. Having a driving license is very, very important. Even if you're not having a car, having a driving license is very, very important. It gives you a lot of flexibility, and I was penny wise, pound foolish. I'll first do certain things right, and only after that I'll go for the driving license, and then I got very comfortable with the public commute. But looking back, I would say that this is one thing which I have not got it right. So thanks for bringing that up. The next question is,
let me ask you a question, Gopi. What do you think are the opportunities you've lost because of not getting the license?
Well, say there are times when I am too dependent on public transport, and I know that it's better to go for a rental car, for example. My hands are tied without having a driving license. And in terms of opportunity cost also, if I have to look for, you may end up spending $600, $700 or even $1,000. But then if you have the driving license, there are ways through which people usually make return on investment. If they have to drive a car or do something that gives the flexibility. Even in case of a certain job, it becomes a mandate to have driving license, whatever the job is. So these are the opportunities you lose on if you don't have the driving license. So this is the learning.
That's right. That's very important,
Yeah. So Harminder, I also wanted to understand, insurance here in Canada is very, very expensive. Does having experience back home in your country and coming here, is there a way to reduce that insurance? Because insurance is associated with many of the components like your driving scale, the place where you are, and all those things.
That's right. Very good question, Gopi. So yes, insurance here is very expensive. It's sometimes more expensive than what you pay towards your car cost or the monthly installment.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of factors that the insurance cost depends on, right? The number one factor is your driving experience, and that is another reason why bringing a driving extract is important, right? So if you have more than 10 years of experience, you're going to be considered an experienced driver. That's why your insurance is going to be lower as compared to a new driver. That's number one factor. Number two is the type of car you buy. I'm not really sure how this works, but what I've learned is that the safer the car, the cheaper the insurance will be. For example, Mercedes cars, they have a cheaper insurance as compared to other cars like BMWs or Audis, right? So that's another factor. And the third factor that comes to my mind is the place where you live, right? Like if you live in a busy area, like say Toronto downtown, where the possibilities of collisions are more than a place where there are fewer cars, then also your insurance price is going to be different. So similarly, there are many more factors that the insurance cost would depend on. Your age is also a factor. What I would suggest in terms of insurance is you should shop around a lot. So talk to like 10 to 15 insurance brokers or agents before you sign up for some, right? And go for the cheapest one, wherever you get the cheapest deal.
Wonderful. Thanks, Harminder. You have given some great insight, and I hope that the audience will get to learn from it, and they're going to have a smooth sail when they come here to drive in Canada as well as go towards getting their driving license. Thanks, Harminder, for coming on to Canada Tried and Tested channel and sharing your knowledge and insight. It's really helpful, and like I said before, I'm a great fan of your YouTube channel and the way you teach the safe driving in Canada, which is very important. Thanks for that.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Gopi. Thank you for having me here today. And I wish all the best to your viewers. I hope they got value from this conversation and they are going to start working on getting their license, and all the best for your future endeavors. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Harminder.